everyone. Welcome to another episode of JKL Media Reviews, where we are talking about The Expanse. This week we are talking about IFF, and it is the second episode of the third season. I am here to discuss it with my lovely and talented co-hosts, Lou
Hello, everyone.
and Jesse.
Hello. Good to be here.
Awesome.
It
And
is Memorial Day for us in the US today.
that's right.
So by the time we put this out, it will have passed. But I hope everyone had a good long weekend if you get one.
I thought
And
that was
thank you
last
for
weekend.
your,
Nope, it's this
no,
weekend.
this weekend.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Um, we're going to talk about IFF. And again, it's an interesting title because, you can also say it if, which is
Yes.
it also works.
And what does it
Uh
stand for?
IFF. Oh my God, why are you asking me this
Yeah,
right
I can
now?
tell you that,
Identify friend or foe.
right?
So it tells them whether the person is a friend or a foe. And it's an unreliable narrator, right?
Mhm.
Because it just tells you about the ship. It doesn't tell you about the people in it. And I think the Rossi crew should maybe understand that better than most because they're not who they appear to be on the outside either. Um,
Or on the Agatha Christie.
there you go. Yeah. I do like that they're in the Razorback because that immediately alerts Naomi and Alex and those on the Rossi to what the ship is about. So we have a big decision that gets made, and another lost actor appears, and there's some really terrible people in this episode. Again, we get, I think, three. Are we up to three in this episode? Evil, nasty people. So let's discuss this episode. Uh, and I want to get uh, just quick thoughts from you guys. I'll start with Lou.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty great episode. Just another signature cliffhanger from the series. And I just love how it continues to bring together characters that we really want to see together.
Agreed. How about you, Jesse?
Yeah, I was very thrilled to see Elizabeth Mitchell. She's an actor I really enjoy watching. And I liked her character, the um the interactions, right? The
Mm-hmm.
uh it appears to be the side of our better angels character, and I think the UN secretary needs more of those on his side. He has a lot of people from the angels of the worst nature. So yeah, it was a good episode.
Agreed. Yeah, Anna's character, I find her very interesting. I think she is much smarter than the Secretary General at this point.
Yeah.
She kind of sees through what's going on, right? At least you get that feeling that she gets that Aaron Wright might not be all he appears to be. And that's comforting to me that there's
Mhm.
someone else that, might have alarms that go off. Okay, so let's talk about that storyline. Uh Again, I loved her as Juliet on Lost. She was fantastic there. I never thought Sawyer would have an equal match, and he did in that character. And it's pretty much all down to her acting. Uh, and I enjoyed them jumping right in with telling us about her character off the bat, where she comforts the protester who's, quote unquote, on the other side of the coin from her of the fence, literally on the other side of the fence, and forces the UNN a soldier to take him to the tent. I uh I really appreciated that we saw that she might be there to help the Secretary General, but she is understanding of protesting and what those people stand for. And she might be willing to help her friend in exchange for funding, but she's not quite on board with his platform. So let's talk about her and that storyline. I'll start with you, Lou.
Well, she's there to be a moral compass, which I think has been sorely lacking so far in the UN building. Uh, and I think it's part of the reason why, up until this episode, I've always found the Secretary General character be kind of wishy-washy. And in this one, having her to play off of, we finally get into his inner thoughts, and he's less of a wet rag than he has appeared to be at this point in the series. So I think she's serving multiple functions, and it's is she the voice of reason, of compassion? You can take your pick as to what she's doing here, but she's talking about the fact that they're persecuting Mao's children in order to get to him, which she warns against is the war crimes with collective punishment. Uh, and of course, Ehrenreich doesn't agree with that. He says it's necessary to apply pressure points. So it's the age-old ends justify the means argument. Everybody there at the UN is definitely focused on the ends, and she's more concerned about the means of how they go about doing what they have to do. So,
Yeah.
uh, and she's just a really good actor, and I think that she elevates the performances of everyone around her, and most notably, again, the actor playing the Secretary General.
Yeah, I know his first name's Esteban,
Yeah,
but you know, to me, he is I don't know, like a almost a generic character. I mean, the actor's great, but he is definitely a character that turns his head many times and doesn't see what's in front of him. I don't know how else to describe
and
him, but
I'm curious, what does he not see in front of him, Karen?
the truth.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he doesn't see what's really going on. In any case, he kind of just looks around and he never really sees what's happening around him. Like you said, wishy-washy. He takes the word of whoever's talking to him. And so I don't find his character particularly sympathetic, except he knows that he needs Anna in his corner. And I think that's one of his most redeeming qualities is knowing that he needs someone besides Aaron Wright. And whether that's a subconscious thing or not, who knows? How about you, Jesse?
So the thing that struck me, and well, here I'll talk about the Enright first, is he he appears to be someone who is wishy-washy or just a a weak individual that's a puppet that's always used by people. And by having her come in, it shows the first time that he realizes that he's only as good as the people around him.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've said this many times. One of my favorite quotes is from Sports Night, where Robert Jones says, if you're dumb, you surround yourself with smart people. If you're smart, you surround yourself with smart people who disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time I've seen him being smart.
Yep.
And so I like that. The other thing that struck me is when we meet her and she's giving that soldier instructions, you're thinking, oh my God, she must be like a bigwig. Kind of like in Firefly when Book shows his ID card and immediately everyone runs and helps him. And
Yep.
you're like, what? But no, she isn't part of an official organization. She doesn't have a magic ID card. She doesn't have psychic papers like the doctor. It's just the pure force of her personality. Look at me. This is what you're going to do. And yes, ma'am. I like that. I
Well,
love,
grudging, yes, ma'am, but
yeah.
yeah.
But she was able, though, with the force of her will, to get them to do the right thing and to comfort that. It's we're going to be okay. So I love that. I love the dinner. Um, I used to work for a boss, and I still love him. He is. We go to dinner probably or lunch probably once or twice a year. And the guy who owned the company, uh, John said, was always the smartest person in the room. David was one of his best friends, and he said, I always feel like David's the smartest person in the room. And I just, you get the feeling she's going to be the smartest person in the room, no matter what room it is.
Hmm.
Uh, and and she's using her power for good, right? And we get that, I mean, kind of jumping ahead, that lovely scene where she's talking to her wife and her
Mm.
child. And so, yeah, I just think this is a great disruptor, possibly for the series, and a force for good. And it made the series, which was already really interesting, it jumped up again. So I, if we're ranking characters, Bobbie's still number one, but Reverend Anna's number two coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I really like her character. And I do think she's a force for good, but I think also she's going to be a mouthpiece for the war. And so that's going to weigh on her. She does
Yeah.
mention to her wife that, and we get a little tease here that she's mad at Esteban for something. We're not quite sure what that is yet, right, Lou? We haven't been
No,
told their full backstory.
no,
Okay.
we haven't.
Um, so we know that she's mad at him, but that she does drop everything to go and help him. So it's intriguing.
It
I
Well,
can't wait
is.
she
to
made it
find
sound like
out.
she was coerced, though. I don't think it was
Mm,
quite voluntary.
right. Well, yeah. Uh, yeah, he dropped a bunch of Marines on her,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So yeah, there's that. And also I really, really loved that she followed up with Colin with the protester. And Colin shows her, hey, my arm's fixed. They fixed me at the tent. I thought that was a nice little bow on top of it that, she cares about that guy, even though he's a just a guy, right? Um, so I loved that. I I hate Aaron Wright so much. I gotta say that right now. So I'm gonna shift to him real quick. He's doing a lot of maneuvering here. He is trying to get a feel of Anna to see if he can um, snow her as well. I think he's very disconcerted about her because he gets a feeling that she is definitely smarter than he is. Uh, he underestimated Christian, so I think he's going to be wary of her, uh, at least a little bit. It looked like he was going to be, right? And man, when Mao shows up on Io and Aaron Wright sends him that message that he wants the weapon now, and Mao's like, yeah, you told me you were going to unfreeze everything. But then when he's sitting with Esteban and Anna, he reiterates that they've frozen everything. So he has absolutely no intentions of doing anything for Mao, but he still wants compliance. And I do think that is going to really hurt him. Mao's not going to bend on that. Mao's a much stronger person than he is. Uh, you know, he's backed into a corner and he's going to fight his way out. And if that's through Aaron Wright, I think that might be a thing, right? Um, and he also has to deal with his quote unquote loose end, which is Christian. So he's got a lot of things that aren't going his way. He's disconcerted and he we'll have to see what his next step is. So I want to start with you, Jesse. What's your take on Aaron Wright? I'm sure you hate him just as much as I do, but
Yeah, I do. And this it feels to me like he's the gambler that is so deep he can't get out and he keeps just making big bets, thinking if one of these click, I'm okay. I'm
mm,
golden. And
perfect.
so
Yep.
yeah, and he keeps just trying wilder and wilder swings. Um, and I keep thinking, he's going to get caught, but unfortunately, the way the world works, sometimes the worst people in the world don't get caught, right?
Mm, yep.
So yeah, I,
Yeah.
Don't want to go
sorry.
go to real world
Yeah.
scenarios.
And I wasn't even talking about current
No,
political
but
work. I
it's
was just saying, sometimes, um, so, and it, you wonder how long can he keep this shell game going? Um, and now
which
that,
thing is going to come and bite him in the ass, right?
yeah, and now that Reverend Anna's here, I think she is going to see through his bullshit and go. So yeah, I think and what's nice is Anna has taken the place story-wise as Christian, right? We had Christian and Enright
Right,
knocking
right.
each
Oh,
other
good
out.
catch. Yeah.
And
Yep.
now then he's been for 2 or 3 episodes, right? She's not there. And
Yeah.
now then there is someone else to, as I said, call him on his BS and to ask the well, why questions.
Yep.
And uh, we once again have a really good actor. I mean, the guy who's playing Enright, and I should know his name,
Sean
is
Doyle.
doing a good job. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not a bad actor. He
Yeah, we
is
wouldn't hate him as much if he was a
yeah,
bad
exactly.
actor.
So now then you've got a couple of good people, being able to be this away against each other, which just adds a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think at the very least she's going to put some seeds of doubt in Esteban's mind,
Yes.
which which is going to be good.
Yes,
Nice and
exactly.
juicy. Nom 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 nom.
Yeah.
Let's go to you, Lou.
Yeah, I think the dynamic between Aaron Wright and Anna is going to be interesting because she represents a position that Aaron Wright doesn't normally deal with because she's not interested in power or advancement. She's a humanist and she's much more worried about um, ethical and moral concerns, and that is something that will be difficult for Aaron Wright to manipulate, at least directly. He'll have to come up with some alternate methods, I would think, to do that. And uh, there is a war going on, so potentially he could, a tragedy or something could happen. He could manipulate her through that way by, uh, making the undersecretary feel guilty about something. So that'll be interesting to see what pressure points he will try to find with her. And then at the same time, she's going to be watching his machinations with a very critical eye. So yeah, that's a great dynamic that they've brought this character in. And as Jessie rightly pointed out, she's a pretty good stand-in for Christian.
Yeah,
Y-
I
uh,
go ahead.
Though the other thing, right, is that um, she has, it appears, a strong faith and a belief in trying to do good, but she's not naive.
Mm,
She is, being a speechwriter, she has played politics before. And, in my mind, her backstory is someone that was involved politically and done a lot of things and reached out and reached the point where, you know what, I just want to help one person at a time, right? I
hmm
just, I can't fight the battles anymore of trying to affect policy. So I'm just going to try, one refugee at a time, one person at a time to kind of help that. And that's my way of making the world better. But it isn't because she wasn't good at it. It's just she decided to change her mind. So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. She kind of reminds me of the lead female characters in both The American President and The Contender. I don't know
Hmm.
if you guys have seen. I know Jesse's
Yes.
seen The American President.
Yeah.
Um, they both have pasts that um, contradict what they're doing in the present, but they
Yeah.
overcome them. And the UN dude shows her the photo of her protesting with Esteban, and even though he's delighted about it, I wonder if that's gonna play any part in anything, because that's always like a signal of, oh, you were
Yeah.
on the other side. Um, so yeah, I love that storyline. Also, I think we need to realize that Aaron Wright, you said he's getting deeper and deeper, and so he's going to be distracted with each thing that he's juggling.
Yeah.
He's going to turn his head to see one thing, and I think something else is going to come to a head. So let's keep our fingers crossed there. I really hope he gets his comeuppance soon. I'm assuming he does because, we're rooting for the good guys, right? Um, and since Christian is hanging in there, there's stuff that can come and bite him. I mean, Mal can, Christian can. It
Mhm.
looks like Anna's gonna see through things. You know, he's got a lot of things happening coming at him like a train, and I wonder if he's gonna be able to get off the tracks in time. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to our other bad guys who are working together, and that is Strickland and Mao, who are on Io. We see Strickland's facility and how he's going to use the children, which enrages me. We also see Katoa, who is the other young boy in the lab with May. Is that her name, May?
May or my.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
May, my.
Um, May Mai. Uh, Katoa, if you don't remember, is the boy of the other man that Prax runs into as they're getting out of the Ganymede bubble. And he tries to convince Prax to find him as well. And it's a shame, but he's already been infected with the protomolecule. We see that in one of the last scenes there. We also get uh, another building block into why these kids in particular and what their condition is, and it's something that is done on Ganymede because that's the only place this genetic mutation has happened, and it's because of something on Ganymede. So I find that that's interesting, and that might be really important. The Ganymede can be a place that they can manipulate the protomolecule. Um, and man, them together, oh, I just was so angry during those scenes. And again, it's a testament to the actors that, you can feel that much hatred for them. They've really embodied those characters. The guy who plays Mao, he also was part of the ARG of Lost, the alternate reality game.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he he was a menacing guy there too. He also appeared on the show, but it was a very small part. And he always strikes me as someone who can play the bad guy, but a very understated. I mean, he's not a twirling mustache bad guy. He's more of a I'm looking out for myself, or I'm doing what I think is right, even if it's terribly wrong. And he knows it's terribly wrong, right? Um, in this case, he knows what he's doing is terrible. He doesn't care though, because it puts money in his pocket. So he and Strickland have a talk, and he finally at the end says, do whatever you have to. And he knows he's condemning these children to die, essentially. So let's talk about Strickland and Mao and what's going on in that lab and all that stuff. Start with you, Jesse.
Yeah, I remember early in the series, I was kind of, are we gonna have to put up with this proto model the whole series? Like, I just don't like the storyline at all. Um, and it's turned out that I was wrong. I will raise my hand. Because it isn't about this new technology, this new alien, this new creature. It's how people are using, it's the metaphor for weapons that we use to destroy ourselves,
Mm,
Yeah.
for greed or patriotism or whatever you want. There are different people using this for different things. Some of them, like Fred Johnson, I think he wants it for power, but also to try to get the belt, right? There's the businessman Mao. He wants it to make money, and he doesn't care who he destroys. I mean, child labor, there was a reason why there were laws changed, how to do that. Then so everyone is wanting this MacGuffin, and I like that they're using it this way. Um, yeah, I think it's horrible that there it is truly, well, to make an omelet, you got to break a few eggs, right? And this is so what? And it is it's I am a hypocrite. I could not. I understand there's reasons why we do research on animals and define, but it breaks my heart if I think about it. I eat beef, but I can't. I could not work at a slaughterhouse. I mean, I put that stuff away. You don't think about that. Because I think if any of us did, we would all be vegans, right?
mm,
Because, our empathy. Um, and so to see them casually and being so sweet to the little girl, and uh it just breaks your heart. Um, so there is shades of gray on some of these. And then there's just outright evil. And I get the feeling to me that, these scientists and Chow are incredibly evil. He sacrificed his daughter and didn't care
yep,
because of the long run. And that's just pretty despicable.
agreed. Yeah, they're terrible people. Just
Yes.
terrible. There's also a lot of analogs to things that have happened. Like, we suspect that a country has weapons of mass destruction, so we start a war.
Yeah.
And it turns out they didn't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's very, very much a parallel to this, with Aaron Wright starting that war. over something that isn't true. Uh, Mao not caring, not thinking of those children as human beings.
No.
He thinks of them as a means to an end. Strickland also, he might think they're human beings, but there's part of him that's like, well, in order to further this research, I have to use them. And uh, he has to kind of turn his mind off. I'll tell you right now, Jesse, off of what you said, my great uncle owned a slaughterhouse,
Hmm.
and he was a big deal in the Bay Area,
Yeah.
the San Francisco Bay Area. They had a lot of money over that.
Hmm.
And my mother worked for him for a little bit.
Okay.
Now, she enjoyed a good burger,
Yeah.
but it's very rare that you saw her eating beef.
Yeah.
And I know it was because of that. She told me a couple really light stories about what happened there.
Yeah.
And it still bothers me, but we're predators.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sure she didn't tell me the really bad stuff though. So
Right.
yeah, I totally get that.
Hmm.
I know my mom was very affected by it. So,
Yeah.
and now back to the show. And how about you, Lou?
I was so into the slaughterhouse story.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, this is
I'll have to
this.
tell you about my Uncle Jack sometime.
All right, Uncle
Okay.
Jack, Apple Jacks. Yeah,
Mhm.
this is a part of the episode that just really uh, bothers me on a base level. Like a character like, and maybe I'm showing my prejudice here, but Mao, I kind of get that because he's like a businessman and that now also because he's Asian or Eastern, I expect them to be kind of evil, and
Mm,
that's very um uh, profiling racial and that's a bad thing on my part. But I don't mean it maliciously. I'm just sort of conditioned to seeing
you're
those kind of
conditioned,
characters
sure.
in
And when you
Yeah.
see a
TV and
Russian,
films and that, or
right.
Russian or
Yep.
German. You're just programmed to say, yeah, this is a bad dude. But the guy that really bothers me is Strickland because he's just like a regular dude. Like he's just a white guy. And again, my prejudice is showing that I just really find him a revolting character because of that. And the fact that he's willing to manipulate children that have a disease like this immune system disease is, just it's beyond reproach. It's despicable. And I just really the guy just gives me the creepy crawlies every time he's on the screen. And the actor does a great job of playing it straight ahead, but the implications of what's going on and the sense of dread that's building um, with the what's going to happen to these children is just really overpowering. And uh, like Mao is up until this point, we've seen him being pretty in control of everything that he's been doing, but uh, because initially when he arrives at the IO, he's telling Strickland that they should destroy everything because they can't control the protomolecule. But Strickland talks him into let's test it out on these children because this is a possible avenue that we can control the protomolecule with. And Mao wavers and says, "Okay, let's give it a shot," because at this point he's grasping at straws, like he's being pressured by Aaron Wright to deliver something. But he's obviously in a very weakened position right now. So yeah, this is just it's just so creepy. Like like you can watch a horror movie or something and get grossed out, but this kind of underlying subtext of this, all these people working towards creating monsters, and they're all like depicted wearing pristine white lab coats and whatnot, and they're all like virgin, like symbols of purity, and yet the work that they're doing is totally disgusting. And I just think that they really locked into a very good implementation of how to make something uh, seem so creepy, and yet they're not being blatant with it at all. Like they're not. There's no blood. There's no gore. I mean, the wildest thing that we're seeing is the blue protomolecule neon blue that we've come to dread, and to see it in that boy's arm is just like, yeah, that's that's the creepiest thing I've seen in a TV show or a movie ever, because I know what potentially could happen after that.
Well, it's a death knell, right? It, that kid is most likely going to die, at least him.
Or lose
You know,
himself, like his
right,
personality
right,
will
that's what
be
I mean.
subsumed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to die and something else is going to take his place. Um, and it's always terrible when you see that um a character who is interacting with someone is has something that's going to kill him, quote unquote. You see it, you know it's going to happen, you get this foreboding, and the poor person doesn't know. Um, I have this thing where I see something and then I think, where someone's dying, and I think to myself, they don't know that in 45 minutes or a day or whatever, that they won't be there anymore. And I get this terrible feeling about it.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I feel like, that's what I feel about this kid. And it's just the worst. Strickland he not only is using them, he leapt on this. He came to Ganymede because of this mutation in these kids. So he's not just using something because it's there. He found it. He seeked it out, and he is just gross. I agree with you. He's the creeptastic doctor in this.
I just
Um,
struggle to figure out, like, how did this guy get to be what he is in this
right.
episode? Like, what happened in his background that made him turn out the way he is? I don't know if we're gonna get that, but I just find it very hard to fathom how people like this exist, period.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that every day, to be honest.
Yeah.
Why does this person know they're doing an evil thing? Because that's something that I can't fathom. And that's me in real life. Does this person really believe what they're saying? Do they know? And it's hard for me to even understand that. Um, I mean, I'm not saying I'm a paragon of virtue. I've done some terrible things. I think everyone has done a few things that they wouldn't want people to know, or, they're ashamed of. And I just think anyone who does something horrible and isn't ashamed of it, I don't get it. And this guy really strikes me as one of those people that I'm like, do you know what you're doing? Do you even think about it? Do you justify it somehow?
Mhm.
And I wonder also about his lab assistants. They're aiding and abetting. We saw the other people that were torn apart by the protomolecule,
Hybrid.
whatever, right, hybrid, yeah. The other scientists, they were very on board with what was going on as well. So there's a lot of people that I don't get. And
Yeah.
it's making me upset, but also I'm so intrigued by the storyline and what's going to happen to all the people in that lab, the kids, the doctors, the scientists, all of them. So, we'll see what happens on the next steps. And I'm really, I'm really hoping that May survives. Really, really hoping, because Prax deserves that. Speaking of Prax,
Nice
I'm going to
segue.
segue. Thank you. I'm going to segue to the Rossi. I'm still going to call it the Rossi, you guys.
Au contraire.
Yeah, Contorto. But I am still going to call it the Rossi, because when I say cortato, Contorto.
Contorto.
I sound like a valley girl.
Contorta.
Contorta. Um, the Rossi. Um, Prax makes a
Hmm.
a nice decision when he becomes the tiebreaker here, and whether they're going to go after Bobbie and Christian, even though they have no idea it's going to be Christian. I was dying for this, for uh, for the Rossi to come across the Razorback. I knew there was a reason that it was the Razorback. There had to be some reason that that was the actual ship that they found. And I felt like in the back of my mind, well, it's going to be that the Rossi recognizes it as Julie's ship. And there's that connection between Miller and the rest of the Rossi crew, that they have a somewhat uh, small but important loyalty towards his opinions, and he would definitely go after the Razorback. I mean, 100% he would be on board with going after it. It being part of Julie's life. Uh, they also know that Mao is behind all the bad things, so having a ship that is connected to him might answer some questions for them. So, I mean, there's a lot of connotations there. Uh, I I do think that Holden, he becomes so single-minded, and we've talked about it before. When he has a mission, that's it. He's on that mission. He's not going to waver from it. Right now, he is looking for Prax's daughter, and that's his mission, and he is not to be dissuaded. But in giving Prax the deciding vote, he assumes that Prax is going to want to go after his daughter. Turns out he doesn't. I mean, he does, but if they're going to go after his daughter, then they're gonna try and save anyone they can from, getting killed over this war. And they're very close to being killed. I don't want to talk about what's going on in the Razorback yet. I want to talk about what's going on the Rossi. We also have Naomi, she might not be 100% on board because she wanted to go to Io, but she is
Psycho.
Tycho, sorry, Tycho.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to Io. Um, but she is resigned to the fact that that's the decision they've made, and Alex is assuming that she's trying to do something until she says, "No, look, I'm gonna help out. I'm a mechanic, and I can futz with this so we don't burn as much fuel." Prax is also doing stuff to help where their air filters won't last very well, and so he is growing these plants in order to help with the oxygen in the Rossi, which, poor thing, it gets destroyed. I don't know. I'm guessing they can save some of those plants, but it's due to his ineptness. And then we get that whole thing where he doesn't tighten the lock enough, and they have a bit of an issue there with Amos and him. Uh, I thought, I know that Prax is going to continue, but I thought, oh no, do we have another doctor situation here? Because as soon as that uh, little hand
Drill.
drill, thank you, it flies into the window, I thought, oh no,
Yeah.
this is bad news. But they turn out okay. His plants are all messed up. So we have a bit of a discombobulation there. Uh, and let's just talk about that. Let's not talk about Christian and Bobbie yet, but I do want to discuss the politics happening on the Rossi. And I know I've talked too much about this, but let's go to you, Jesse.
You have not talked too much at all. Thank you for that great setup. Yes. Um, Often our biggest strength is our biggest weakness. And Holden's determinedness, his stubbornness, is his greatest trait, and it's also his biggest weakness. He has trouble mul not multitasking, but changing. He gets blinders on, focused, and he's made the decision where so let it be written, so let it be done, and all of a sudden, wait, and I think the crew like Alex calling him on it. Oh, wait a minute. You did this distress call that started all this, and now then you're not? Wait a minute. What are you doing? Uh, and yeah, I did like I wonder if Naomi is just a little bit, uh-huh. How's it feel now, huh?
Yeah, a little
Um,
bit.
uh, this is a very dysfunctional, functional family. I do not know if they will ever be um, all's right in the world and one for all and all for one. I think this is just begrudgingly, they end up doing the right thing in their minds after a lot of debate and argument. So yeah, and I was going like, okay, you've got to go rescue him. I mean, that's y'all's gig. Besides, we want to see these two people interact. We want to see these crews interact. Um, and it shows Prax is a good person.
Mm,
You could make the argument Prax is the best person on the ship that
yeah.
has the best moral character. Um,
Alex being a close second, I think.
yeah, I think so. So I think that's interesting. Yeah, it was pretty tense watching all the loose tools fly
Mm,
around. I thought the special effects were really well done. It felt um, jarring and it felt dangerous, and uh, it we get the holes being coming off, and someone mentioned on IMDb that they thought it was a goof that Amos could handle
Yeah.
taking the coups easily and Brax couldn't. And someone said yes, but um, he said that Amos is used to this. He's had more experience, so he's more to breathe calmly to make that change versus Prax, who hasn't had the experience. So I think
yep.
that's a pretty good hand wave, to explain.
Hmm.
Plus,
Uh,
I think Prax doesn't know where things go behind
yeah.
him, and Amos does, right?
Hmm. And so it's really was a fun, kind of a mini crisis in this episode that, you know, the Expanse continues to show us space is dangerous.
Just
Man,
on its own,
yeah, by
without all
itself.
the politics
Yeah.
going. Yeah.
And For All Mankind did a good job of that too, that show. So, and by the way, the actor who plays Amos had a very small, actually a pretty big part on Sheriff Country this season,
Hmm.
and it wrapped up the first season, and his storyline wrapped up. Did a really, it was a very interesting character. I don't want to spoil anything, but well done. And him and Marina Baccarat had incredible chemistry.
Cool.
Marina
For
Baccarin could have chemistry with anyone, I think.
Mhm.
She's so pretty.
Yes, she is.
I also want to say, they could have played that for laughs. And while part of it was kind of humorous, they also were very serious there. I find that whole part of the episode that was super interesting. And like you said, they're fighting against space at that point. It has nothing to do what's going on, you know, with other parts of the ship. They are just in peril. I love that Amos caught that drill and it was going to hit Prax right in the face.
Yeah,
Um,
that was a pretty movie moment.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was. It was. Amos is a badass there. Um,
Yes.
Also, I love when these two characters interact, that they're the two that ended up there in that situation. They are polar opposites. He feels nothing, Amos, and Prax feels everything. And it's interesting to see them interact. So, uh, I thought that was very cool that they're putting those two characters together. Okay, Lou, let's go to you.
Yeah, it's interesting. The dynamics of what's happening on the Rossi really parallel what's happening in the UN building. So these type of personal dynamics or human interactions are not specific to just a given group of characters. They are replicated all everywhere where peoples are interacting. And as Jesse was very insightfully alluded to the fact that Anna was taking over the role of Christian in the UN scenes, Prax has come aboard and he's sort of like playing the Anna character's role with the Rocinante. And as you both pointed out, the Rocinante crew members really get fixated on one goal and to the exclusion of, and they're all thinking, oh, we're being very um, sympathetic and empathetic to the plight of what's happening with Prax. But really, it's just that they just want to do this one thing. They just that they've quickly forgotten the human element, and Prax brings it back to them. And like Amos is totally flabbergasted as to why would you do this when you want to go rescue your daughter? And Prax, he's just like a very simple. He says, "You guys helped me, and how could I turn away helping somebody else? Like that's just the way it is. Like people help each other." And he's just kind of stunned by that. Though I thought Amos had a good insight into Prax. He says, like you're the only person that's in her corner. Like you have to be there for her. And you know, Prax might have the more uh moralistic view, but I think there's also an element of fear of what he's going to find. So he's kind of delaying that moment in a way by agreeing or being the deciding vote as to whether or not to help Christian or the Razorback. And so yeah, it's just really interesting character dynamics going on there. And I just thought it was really well played, and I really enjoyed that part of the episode. And the show continues to excel at showing space combat in a realistic way that you don't see in other. I don't think I've seen in any other type of science fiction show or movie. Because like if anything that we've seen, like maybe the Wrath of Khan was kind of like submarine warfare because they're in that nebula. And Star Wars movies tend to be like World War II dogfights, which is totally unrealistic in space, but it's much more, visually and dramatically appealing. But this is mixing the science with the special effects in a way that I find very entertaining and engrossing. So yeah, it's just really top-notch stuff from a technical perspective as well.
Yeah, I always get excited when there's a space battle because I love that. I also love that, they're shooting and I call them rail guns
Yeah,
when Alex shoots them.
Yeah, it does look like that, doesn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, when they're shooting that, you also see your point of view is like from inside the Rossi.
Hmm.
And so you hear the noise of the railgun because you're inside the ship. You're hearing the noise of it coming out of the mechanics that are right next to you. It's not showing the Rossi as a faraway thing, like a third person thing
Yeah,
so much,
Yeah.
where you wouldn't be able to hear that um, that warfare.
yeah.
And I like that they're implying that, you're inside the ships and you're watching it from inside the
Yeah.
ships. And you
I th
see those explosions from inside the Razorback and that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
I think my favorite shots are with the rail guns when they're showing it and then they're shooting at it, but at the same time the ship is rotating so that
Yeah.
the bullets or projectiles are making like an arc so that they have a
Yep.
greater chance of hitting the target. But
So cool.
it's almost like a ballet. It's just
Mm,
it's very cool watching that.
yeah. And I like how you see how versatile those guns are.
Yeah,
That, when the ship turns, the guns stay on their target. It's
yeah,
so cool.
yeah,
Um, I do love the special effects on this show very much, and they're very understated.
yeah,
It's not like, hey, look, we're doing a dogfight and it's so special effecty, and
yeah,
they're just showing it as a, hey, this is what's happening, and boom. Um, it's not overextended. It's in little bursts. We see one sort of thing with the missiles, and then that is a pause in between, and then we see the end of the missiles, and it's another pause, and then when the Mars ship comes in, they finish it off. It's not just like a boom, 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 2 minute long scene. We get to see
Yeah.
almost a realistic fight. Um, I loved all of that. All of the things that are happening on the Rossi, those it's not a crew. These are people that
No.
have come together by circumstance. Um, and we keep going back to like Firefly, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like this crew is even more chaotic than Firefly because those people were united as a crew, and the people that were brought on board later became part of that crew.
Yes.
Even though, they had their differences every now and then, they were fairly cohesive. And in this case, they can come together united for a cause, but they also have huge issues with each other. And, I like that we get the three different kind of dynamics. We have a Martian, we have an Earther, we have a Belter, uh, Amos, who is kind of a gun for hire type, and then we have someone from Ganymede, and it's just so cool to see all these people coming from different places and how they're going to interact. They're not, it's messy,
Yeah.
and they're not really uniting them right away. It's not a happy ending thing on the Rossi. They have issues still, but they're together because that's what happened, and they can do their best by having these people on the ship. No one wants to leave, except for maybe Naomi every once in a while wants to get off and do her thing, but for the most part, they have decided that they need each other even though they have huge issues with each other. I really love the dynamics on the Rossi. I think it's great. I'm happy that it just continues to be a chaotic mess because that's so interesting to watch. I'm hoping that at least some of those plants survived because poor Prax um, is really trying. We also get that little drop in to remind us that Holden is from a farm. He
Mm.
says it'll be nice to garden again, and
Yeah.
that's cool to see as well. A farming community, uh, poly farming community, and I dug that. I feel like that's super interesting, and I agree with you 1,000%, Lou. Prax doesn't really want to know what happened with his daughter yet. Um, he had that horrible dream and he's thinking to himself, what if I find her and she's a horrible monster? What am I going to do? And it's like any zombie movie, where you find your wife or whatever, and she's become a zombie, and you have to kill her, but there's part of you that's like, I can save her. Um, and so you're thinking, well, this is going to be terrible if that's what happens because we're right on the edge of that. Uh, and I get it. I understand that he doesn't really want to know, right?
Hmm.
He's thinking right now, Man, if I put this off, it's like Schrodinger's cat right
Yeah.
now. She's both inhabited by the protomolecule and she's not. Until he opens that box, he's not going to know. I'll mix my metaphors here. Until he opens Pandora's box, he's not going to know whether the cat's alive or not. Um, so yeah, I love the Rossi storyline. It continues to be one of my favorite parts of the show. Just seeing all the politics that happen on that ship because it's a if it was all the Rossi, it'd be a bottle episode. You know, they're in a bottle.
Yeah.
They can't go anywhere else. And so that's always cool when you see sandpapery dynamics. Okay, last but not least, let's talk about Bobbie and Christian. Uh, I love that Christian is continuing to be a crotchety old woman, and Bobbie is realistic about her abilities, and she's not going to take any shit from her. Even though her mission is to save Christian's life. So that's what she's focused on, but she's not going to baby her. Um, she tells her like it is, and when there's something that she should lie about, she doesn't actually lie about it. She just withholds the information. Um, she also, I love the line where she says, "A good pilot could get you out of this," essentially. And Christian says, "Well, are you a good pilot?" She says, "No, I'm the thing that the good pilots take
To go kill people.
to go
Yeah.
kill something." And, she's saying, "Dude, I'm going to give it a shot, but I don't know how this is going to turn out." Um, and Christian going in and out of being able to handle all the G's that need to happen. I'm wondering, are they out of that stimulant that she can't inject her again with the stimulant? Um, you would think there's more than one dose, right? Um,
This is that she can't physically handle too much.
more of it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she can't physically handle most anything on that ship.
Well, she's old.
Um, old, and she's not used to being out in space, as that
Exactly.
has
She's
been
never trained for it.
established.
Yeah.
Right. Uh, so I love the dynamics between these two. Again, polar opposites, although they're both just as steadfast and determined. They both have the same amount of grit and braveness. Um, Christian, she might seem like she's not brave, but I do think she is. Um, she does worry about Kotiar, which we see a couple times, and Bobbie doesn't lie to her, but doesn't tell her she thinks he's dead. And Christian comes out and says, "Well, did you kill him?" "No." "Well, then, F you and your sorries." I think that was fun. And then the ending is that they do actually get saved by the Rossi and they come aboard, and yay, I'm rubbing my hands together. I love that Holden and Christian are finally going to meet. They know of each other and they know what their deal is. And I don't think there's going to be a lot of love lost right up front, but I do think they're going to understand each other once they get things out on the table. And I'm assuming Christian's going to lay it all out on the table, and Holden's going to come right up and say the things that he needs to say. He doesn't have a lot of sympathy for her right now. And now they're going to have to save her life. And I love that Bobbie's there. She's going to interact with them. We have another Martian on board, so I can't wait to see Alex and her talk to each other. They're both soldiers from Mars, and that's going to be a cool thing. Also, the fact that he's a pilot and she just was bemoaning the fact that she's not a pilot, is that going to come up? I mean, she's going to see him do things that she couldn't do. I wonder about that. That might be nothing, but who knows? And wow, the fact that coincidences make for the most interesting storyline, and now we've got one of the biggest coincidences ever is these two people coming together, and I'm talking about Holden and Christian, obviously, after all of the animosity that they have for each other, they come together and Christian's in a vulnerable position and Holden's the one that has power. So we'll see how that works out. I'm going to start with you, Lou. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, their interaction was great on the Razorback. You know, for someone who's never been in space, Christian's really getting a crash course in every possible scenario that you could go through, and then some. And I love the fact that she says she hates space. I think that was
Hmm.
funny. And then later on, when she was whistling,
Yeah.
was good. Yeah, it's like she was doing like a breathing
Yeah.
exercises or
Yes.
something
Yep.
like that. And then of course the joke about clenching your thighs.
Oh my God, that was hilarious.
She says, "I'm too old for too old
Yeah.
for that." But yeah, it was just a lot of
Thinking
great.
that Bobbie's coming on to her. That's so
Yeah,
great.
it was just a lot of funny character beats throughout that whole section, and both characters are playing off each other, and uh, Christian says, "Yeah, I think I'm getting used to this," and this is, and then Bobby says, "Oh, are you kidding? I could take another 4Gs, no problem." She's
Well, and he
like,
Yeah.
tells her, no, I've moved it to 1G to give you
"Yeah,
a
Right.
break, right?
yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
back to what you're used to, lady.
yeah." So lots of fun stuff there, um, and Christian's impatience and getting going, and Bobby's trying to, telling her, "Hey, we're not out of trouble yet.
Yeah.
We've got to be very careful here because they're going to be pinging for us and that." And the overlay that shows like if they're within the missile lock range is pretty cool. It's very World War II submarine sonar kind of imagery there. So I quite enjoyed that.
Very
And
Hunt for Red October, right?
yes, very very much so. And then the uh the last shot with Bobbie coming on board the ship, the Rocinante, with Carrie Christian, and she's like with the, like she's been crucified, like her
Mm.
Yeah.
arms are out. That's
Yep.
very, a very what do you call that?
Symbolic?
Symbolic
Yeah.
uh, scene, and like what Karen said, and then your juices are all red. She says, "Oh yeah, these characters are gonna get together. I can't wait to see how they're gonna interact. How is Bobbie gonna react to the fact that they're on this crew has got a Martian ship? Like that's gonna be interesting. And then the episode ends, and you're gonna go, oh, like
Yep. I wanted to go on
I
real.
just wanted
I
to
did
go
too.
on, and I gotta admit that I did go on because
You've
Well,
seen
you've
it.
I
already
can
Yeah.
do
seen
that.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
you
can do
can.
that. And now I
Doesn't hurt
realize that I
you.
made a reference to something off the top of the episode that hasn't yet happened yet, but
Well, don't say
We
anything.
missed
so
it.
I
We
won't.
missed
But
it.
yeah, so that's good. But yeah, so it's just, the show does a great job of setting you up to keep you engaged and want to see the next episode right away. And they do that on
Bad.
a consistent basis. This is probably one of my most favorite moments where they do that, so much so that I ended up going to the next episode. I thought poor Karen and Jesse, they have to wait
Yeah.
till Sunday, but
I slapped my
I
husband
just
on the
couldn't help
shoulder.
myself.
Yeah.
With the back of my hand, I slapped him on the shoulder and I'm like, why didn't you tell me? So,
Yeah, so your husband's still watching it with you, eh?
yep.
Good for him.
Is he
Every
enjoying it?
Friday night.
Is he
Oh
still
yeah.
enjoying it? Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
And we had the noodles from the shrimp, but we didn't have shrimp, so we just had the noodles, but it was really good. So
Good.
Okay,
with the garlic
Yeah.
sauce,
okay. Yep,
super
Nice.
good.
very good. So yeah, that's it. I'm done.
Okay.
So Christian and Bobby, I I, I should hum the Odd Couple theme, right?
Right?
Do 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 do.
Yeah. They're just gold together.
Yep.
Um,
God, that was
and
a great show.
yeah, and
Side note.
they're just it's just hilarious watching them. And we've talked about this before. Bobbie is a Marine and she needs something to believe in. She needs a cause.
Yep.
And so she has bought into, at least for now, Christian's cause. And so I like that about her. I like
Do you
her.
think she completely understands they're the good guys?
I don't know if she does yet, but she knows they're not. She knows Mars isn't the good guy anymore.
Right, right.
So she's at least still trying. And at this point, she's going to believe that Christian is trying to do the right things.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Um, so the dynamics, you're right. There was a lot of humor in that. The other scene that one of my favorite scenes in films is Searching for Bobby Fischer. And
A
there's the
good movie.
scene when Ben Kingsley, they're watching two young men play chess, and Ben Kingsley goes, "That was a mistake." And they're like, "Who make a mistake?" And he's like, "Don't move till you see it. Don't move till you see it." And they show the guy, "I don't see it." And this is all in their imagination. And
Right.
and she takes the chess pieces off the board, and all of a sudden, the kid sees the mistake and he knows that he could win in so many steps. And so that's what I felt with Bobbie. Like, it's not time yet. We need it. It's
Mm-hmm.
not time yet. It's not time yet. I just love that tension.
And her
And
admitting that she's not sure about
yeah,
her. She knows she's got to try and stay off the radar, but she's
yeah,
not a great pilot. So yeah,
yeah.
it's really cool.
So yeah, I was just as frustrated. In fact, today or whenever I get to, I think we're having a family day today. Chris and Linda, we're gonna grill and watch some stuff together. But the next time I will watch this episode and then go directly to the next one. I don't often do that. I just kind of like, no, just go to the new episode. But I think this time I will,
Watch
just
them
to kind
both.
of get
Yeah.
that, yeah, because it
Good
feels,
plan.
yeah. I
Plus,
just
you want
once,
to hate Aaron Wright again, right?
yeah. It continues to get better and better. I say that every week, but the reality is it does. And um, I think that I'm very excited that we have a lot of story left. Because
You
this
have
is, I mean,
no idea.
yeah,
Oh boy.
exactly. Yeah. So,
This is the tip of
um,
the iceberg.
is it a good ending, Lou?
Is it a good ending for the series?
Yes.
Um, it's a
Uh-oh.
satisfying ending.
Okay,
Okay.
that's good. That's all I
There's
needed.
there's production behind the scenes stuff that kind
Yeah.
of much like we were just talking off air before we started, like season 5 of The Boys. I don't
Yeah.
think hit the same heights as the earlier seasons because of production limitations.
Yeah.
Uh, and there was definitely that pressure on the show at the time.
Okay.
Okay.
But if they can wrap up the story in a decent way,
They
that's what
they
I'm
do.
hoping.
They
Okay,
do.
good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
they
Good.
definitely do.
Um,
It's the main storyline is satisfactory rag is wrapped up quite well. It's there's some extraneous stuff that you're kind of going, why did they include this? But
Okay, got it.
it doesn't detract from the main
Good.
story. And
okay.
I hope I didn't ruin anything
No,
there.
no, no, not at
No,
all.
I don't
No.
think so.
Good.
Um, I also noticed that there's a similarity between um the child. Okay, let me find his name. Uh, Katoa, and also the guy on Earth. Oh my God, Colin. That they both have an arm with an issue, and Colin is fixed, and this kid thinks he's quote unquote fixed. I just found that interesting that there's both arm injuries between those two stories.
Hmm.
Also, I don't know that that has anything to do with anything, but I try to make
Yeah,
connections where I can.
sure.
And the title also continues to be cool and interesting. If and
Yeah.
IFF, just very cool. They're really smart writers, and not only writers but directors. Everything on this show, uh, smart. And I love that in season 1 they taught us how to watch the show. I love when a show does that. And so now I'm very happy when they continue to stay on that path. It's just super cool, and I'm so
Yeah.
glad we're watching it. Big props to Lou for suggesting it. And again, it's another show that I berate myself for not watching at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Uh,
there's just so
Definite
much content.
FOMO. Yeah, there was definitely.
There is now too.
We
I just
were, yeah, we
can't
were
keep up
already
with it
getting
all.
streaming
Yeah.
back when this came out, and this was on broadcast TV to start. So I was already moving away from that, and yeah, it's a shame that I didn't watch it, but it does give us this opportunity to talk about it now, and that makes me happy. So let's get our ratings. I'm gonna start with you, Jesse. What's your rating?
So I like this one. I liked last week a little bit better. So I'm gonna, but I don't ever write down my ratings. So, but I should be better at that. But yeah, I'm gonna say that this is 8.5 out of 10, um, tore up plants.
There you go. How about you, Lou?
I'm like this one a little bit better than last week, and I'm pretty sure I gave that one an 8.5. So I'll give this one 8.75 G's.
There you go. Nice. That's
Yeah,
a
I
lot of
like that.
G's.
Yeah.
That is a lot of G's. Um, yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8. I think it's great, and I'm thinking this is building to something greater. So that's why I'm going with an 8. I'm gonna say 8 loose tools floating around
Nice.
in a room. Um, so yeah, with that, we're going to give you guys a chance to tell us where they can find you, and we'll start with you, Lou.
Yeah, well, we'll be back next week with episode 3, Assured Destruction. So that's a pretty ominous title.
Mm,
Um,
dun dun
Beyond
dun.
that, you can find me at this YouTube channel, JKL Media, where we're currently obviously reviewing The Expanse, and we're waiting for Pluribus and Severance to come back. And I also have a personal YouTube channel, Lou's Reviews, where I have all the archived episodes and reviews of Babylon 5, the entire series, plus the animated movie, as well as my Stephen King podcast and the writer interviews podcast. And on Twitter and X, or Twitter, Twitter and Blue Sky, you can find me at Lou W. Sitzma, Sytsma.
Very cool. How about you, Jesse?
I am at Jesse Jackson DFW on Twitter. You can hear me talk music on Set Listening Bruce. I have coming up this week an interview with Ernest Lineberger, who was a man who ran for Congress in my district. Ran last year, lost, and then this year lost in the Democrat primary. It's a very political episode. We also talk about his musical, fandom and growing up, serving in the Navy. But it's a really good political discussion about someone wanting to get into politics, even though, they their whole life they had never been involved. So I really enjoy that. And then a
Lots of
guy
things happening down there in
yeah.
Texas.
And then a guy named Jake Kassman, who is a musician, singer, songwriter, that he's joining me as well. And it was a really fun discussion. I also, coming up later this summer, in June, I'm going to be doing a series of Pride episodes where I'm
Mm.
talking to people about how music helped them with their coming out and their journey. And I'm looking forward to that. That should be a lot of fun. Coming House of the Dragon is coming back soon, and the Small Council Matters. I will be part of that, discussing that, and Perfectly Good podcast where we talk John Hyatt every week. But
So where
that's it.
aren't you? Where
Yeah.
aren't you? Let's say that.
Yes.
And you guest on other podcasts too. So, search for
Yeah.
Jesse Jackson in whatever your podcast
Yeah.
platform is. You can email us at jklmediareviews@gmail.com, and I am at Elveria on social media. And my blog is alliestuff.com. Thank you to everyone who's been visiting. It's very cool to see that. I know my content is weird, but I do have that page with a lot of links. So you can find Jesse's links, you can find Lou's links, my good friend Charles's links. So there's lots of good stuff there on the landing page, and thank you for visiting. So with that, we're gonna say goodbye to you guys, to the listeners, and we'll be back next week with the next episode. So bye everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And see.
And see. The proceeding has been a JKL Media production.